Hello and welcome to the final week of Vintage Super League. I'm Randy Bueller, joined by Chris Pikula. Final regular season week, that is. This is going to be a fun one. I know that you're probably not as excited about the potential 8-way tie as I am.
Yeah, I have the potential to have gone from 3-0 to dead last. That is not off the table yet, so I'm not excited about the possibility.
Having been tied for last for the last couple of weeks, I'm a little happier to kind of claw my way back up into that.
I think us talking about the fact that the 8-way tie was this like far-fetched thing that couldn't really happen.
Right.
It encouraged me to play a little loose with my deck this time around. Like, if you had said the 8-way tie was like 5% to happen, I just would have played like Delver just to remove this possibility.
But 1 and 2 to the 15th, you weren't worried about it?
Right, exactly. Now I'm a little worried. It's like what we were saying. Like, for some reason, everyone who's 4-4 just picked a bad deck this week.
It does seem that the sketchier deck selections are amongst the 4-4s.
Right.
Rich seems like the most likely one to mess things up. His Delver list looks quite good. I mean, a bunch of people even copied it at Eternal Weekend last weekend.
Right.
But the thing is, even if we don't get an 8-way tie, we can get a 7-way tie.
Oh, we're going to
get a 6-way tie.
There's going to be some ties, but
yeah, I mean, so the way to think about it is that if all the 4-4s lose, then yes, we have an 8-way tie at 4 and 5. The real question, though, is whether the tie for the playoffs is at 4 and 5 or 5 and 4. I mean, if all of the 4-4s win, we have either a 5 or I think we have a 6-way tie at 5 and 4. Yeah. Because if they all win, that means Menendian has been dragged down into it at 5 and 4. Right. So we can have a 6-way tie for the playoffs, which then leaves 3-way tie for last between me, Bob, and Josh. If only one of the 4-4s win, we can have a 7-way tie for I guess last up to 4th.
Right. So who's the favorite in each match here? So
all right. Well, let's pull up the schedule. Let's talk about it.
All right.
We've got the schedule. First matchup. So this is where we're going, not with the playoff bracket, real quick. But here's the schedule for today: Efro versus LSV. I mean, that seems like a decent match for Sin City Vault, but the Pyromancer deck that LSV's piloting has looked really good, as has LSV, right?
Yeah, but
I mean, I'd probably bet on LSV if I was betting there.
This one is close. I do agree that I think that this is not a bad matchup for, the Sin City Vault deck has problems with either a ton of counterspells or shops or Null Rod, and Luis has none of those things.
So not a bad matchup, but I'm still not convinced that's a tier 1 deck, I guess.
I agree with you on that.
All right. So then what's your take on our matchup?
I think I'm a dog, but probably not a huge dog.
That's exactly where I have it. I think I'm a slight favorite, but not nearly as much as I was favored against Menendian last week. Martel versus Menendian is basically, I mean, it's pretty similar to the first matchup. I don't know. I like Tom's deck a little better than Luis's, but
I don't know if I like it in that matchup better.
He does have a Null Rod main.
Oh, the Null Rod. The Null Rod's huge, but
if he draws his one Null Rod, it is just game over for Menendian.
Right. But Luis, Martel's deck is kind of I probably like Martel. By the way, one thing I forgot to mention about our match is, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, I offered you a gentleman's agreement where we start with one of our sideboard cards in play, and I got no response from you.
I did not notice that. I'm pretty sure that my sideboard is depressingly close to blank, whereas yours has some insane cards. Yeah, the fact that you have Moat is absurd.
So I have a Moat. I mean, I'm sure you can figure out a way around it.
You think? I'll keep looking. There must be one, right? There must be some way my deck can win with Moat in play.
I've looked for a while, and I haven't found one yet.
Oh, there's one.
There is?
Yeah, it involves targeting you with my Ancestral Recall.
Yeah.
That's it. I can deck you.
I don't have Treasure Cruise, so I'm really unlikely to draw that many cards where I get to that point.
Oh, I have to also not cast Treasure Cruise. It's all true. So. Maybe you'll crack more fetch lands than I do. Yeah, no, I do not look forward to playing a game with Moat in play.
Yeah.
So Rich versus Bob.
Rich, gotta go. I guess it's Rich. I mean,
yeah, I think Rich is the most likely of the 4-4s to break up the 8-way tie dream. Gotta be.
Right. I mean, the thing is, I know we're saying it's Rich, but that's just because the Delver decks have performed so well that I'm kind of forced to just.
Yeah.
I mean, I still like the old. I don't know what. I still like the old kind of Bob, Jace, Tinker decks when they aren't facing like null rods but maybe it just doesn't work. You can't really cast planeswalkers against decks with lightning bolts and pyroblasts, and Delver just doesn't seem very good to me. The card
Delver, no, but the archetype seems good.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's where I'm at. And then we get another Angel City Vault versus Gush.
Right.
God, this could go any of a million different ways. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, the hidden thing at the bottom of this schedule, you can't see it, but just like imagine it written in at the bottom. After Williams and Utter Late and finish, we get the draw. The draw for the bracket will be conducted. If there is a bracket, if there is a tie that requires any kind of random draw, and I mean, so many different scenarios that could happen, we will conduct the draw live on air. We can get everybody on a Skype call who wants to call in, and yeah, see what the next matchups are.
Yeah, I gotta say that unfortunately, due to time zones, I will be fast asleep during the draw section of the evening.
Tough but fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the lottery for bracket position. I mean, so, and though people keep asking about tiebreakers, to be clear, we're going to play games to break all the ties. Now, if you have there are some awkward scenarios. Like if you have a 3-way tie, we're not going to round robin. We're not going to do a round robin to break an 8-way tie. We're going to do a bracket to break an 8-way tie. We do want this to end sometime, before New Year's. So it'll be a bracket. Whatever the number is, you just like imagine all those people in the mass tie in an 8-person bracket. If you have a 5-way tie or 5, 6, or 7-way ties, we're gonna have to award some buys. Similarly, if we have a 3-way tie, we have to award some buys. If it's a 3-way tie and one of the 3 people had a head-to-head sweep, that's the guy that gets the buy. But for any other scenario, it'll be random. Like we will randomly draw people into a bracket. We will give out the number of buys necessary to make the bracket math work, and then we'll play it out. And the 8-way draw.
We're doing one deck for all tiebreaker matches. Is that what we decided?
One deck for all tiebreaker matches. If there's a whole bunch of tiebreaker matches, though, we will have then a separate deck for the real playoffs. Because recall, all the tiebreakers is setting the seedings for the real playoffs. And we can show the playoff bracket just so that it's clear how the title is actually going to get determined. Once all the dust settles from all the ties, 4 seed plays the 3 seed, the winner of that plays the 2 seed, the winner of that plays the 1 seed. So if LSV wins or if Menendian loses, then LSV has a bye all the way into the finals. I mean, if the season ended right now, Menendian would be sitting in that 2 seed slot, effectively having a bye into the semis based on his regular season finish.
And then
this does mean that. Go ahead.
The number 1 seed, number 2 seed will have to pick their decks before they know what the 3 and 4 seed are playing, correct?
Absolutely. All the playoff decks have to be submitted at the same time. So note that since the seeds matter, we do have to figure out who finishes everywhere. So we could have a 3-way tie for second, where we first have to play some tiebreaker games to see who's actually the 2 seed, and then the 3 and 4 seeds will play out after that. Tie for dead last also gets broken with a playoff game. It's funny if it's a 3-way tie for last, which is what would happen right now based on the standings, then getting the bye there is a bad thing. You do not randomly want the bye in a 3-way tie for last.
So if it turns out where Luis and Steve are both 6 and 3,
yep,
and then 2 other people squeak in,
sure.
Are we committed to this bracket, or can we just do like a 1-4, 2-3 first round, second round type bracket? Like, we
are committed to this bracket. Those are definitely the rules that have been published.
It just seems silly to have 2 6-3s play for a seed when they could just.
Well, they play one game to determine who gets the 1 seed and the 2 seed. I hear what you're saying, and it could be that we can come up with a better set of rules for next year for some of the corner case scenarios. But yeah, if Luis and Steve are tied, they would absolutely play one match to see which one of them gets to be the 1 seed.
Yeah, this is tricky how to really come up with great rules for this. Obviously this is a work in progress on some level.
Yeah. I feel pretty good that the rules we have they're at least good. I mean, it's possible that there are improvements, and if anybody out there has an improvement that you think could be better, I mean, we are starting to think about season 2. I think there's a decent chance we'll be starting a season 2 up in January. That's certainly the plan I'm working toward. So if anybody has suggestions about how we can do the playoffs better, how we can do anything better, please do, let us know.
let me tell you, I hadn't fully thought about all the various complexities of kind of setting up the rules for a small tournament.
Sure.
And then, but then I heard the rules for the end of the year Star City Players Championship, which
Oh, yeah?
they're crazy, and it's all because of the various thing.
Yeah.
They just thought of a lot of things that would be bad, and they tried to fix all those things, and by the end it looked wacky. But
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to say we break all ties with playoff games, but actually implementing that can get weird for us. All right. So first up, Efro and LSV. Efro clinches the 1 seed if he wins. Eric clinches a playoff spot if he wins. I mean, I'm saying playoff spot. By playoff spot, what I really mean is you're guaranteed to keep playing Magic and not get kicked out until you lose. So anybody who gets to 5 wins is going to be in the postseason one way or the other. Now, it may be in some mass tie determining who the 3 and 4 seeds are. But that's why in my mind, Menendian has clinched a playoff spot. He will be in the postseason one way or the other. He could be anywhere to the 2 seed, or I guess he can be in a 6-way tie for second. But he's playing more Magic next week, guaranteed. It's only Steve and LSV that's true of right now. Crazy.
Yeah, it's funny. It's also interesting because at the beginning of the league, it didn't feel that way. It felt like there were winners and losers. Like it was very spread out.
No, it's true. We had one point where there were 2 people tied at every possible record except for undefeated and Ofer.
Yeah. Bob was like 1 and 5 or something.
Yeah, it was 2 people tied. It was 1-5, 2-4, 3-3, 4-2, 5-1, and there were 2 people tied at every single one of those.
All right, and I guess it's just not surprising at all that the people who were losing were like, "All right, I'm enough losing." And at least some of the people that were winning started getting a little. I could splash around a little.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah.
And yeah, in terms of last place, we haven't made a big deal about this, but the way we set the rules up, I guess all the prizes are worth reminding people of. Mostly we're playing for pride. I mean, I think winning this is the prize is very much by the way. But WotC has provided us with an online set of Power 9, which will be drafting. Essentially, the top 6 players get to draft. Whoever wins is probably going to take the Lotus, and then it'll actually circle around and get the 7th pick as well. So top 6 draft off a set of Power 9 on Magic Online. And 10th place, we do have to break the tie for 10th place. 10th place is not invited back for Season 2, which is definitely something everyone wants to avoid.
No, but that does not eliminate you from potentially playing Season 3 or 4, right?
Also true, and there's no guarantee that the other 9 people are all going to have the time for Season 2 either. But yeah, 10th place will not be in Season 2. I mean, technically, they might be doing commentary. I don't know. There's a certain host role I would probably continue to play, even if I was knocked out. But all right, sounds like we got us a match.
Oh, wow.